So far, at least 18 people connected to the White House have tested positive for COVID-19. The White House is refusing offers by the CDC to do contact tracing for people who attended so-called super spreader events and meetings.
Many staffers are saying they're on their own and they're using an honor system to get tested and to self-isolate. So is this legal? What should everyday folks and companies know? Joining us now, healthcare attorney and author Harry Nelson. Good morning, Harry. Good to see you again.
Great to be with you guys.
What are the basic rules and laws to notify people who've been exposed to coronavirus?
So we're in new territory here. There is no law per se that requires a formal notification of exposure. There are a lot of requirements. For example, employers have obligations to employees. There are certainly moral obligations that we have to people around us, but we don't actually have federal or state laws right now that require you to tell people that require you to conduct contact tracing.
So the Department of Health and Human Services can enforce contact tracing. They can conduct it themselves. How would that be done? And could people be prosecuted if they don't participate in it?
So under the Stafford Act, which is our federal emergency declaration act, which the president has enacted, the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services has the power to order contact tracing, just as he or she could order quarantining. And so they have the power to do it. They could do it either by hiring contact tracers, which many local authorities have done. They could do it in partnership with states, which we've seen many states doing. So the option is out there. And then you raised, Jessica, a really interesting question, which is, could there be criminal or civil charges? You know, going back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we saw that the HIV crisis led to new laws in about over 25 states that allowed for the criminal prosecution of transmission, either when people didn't tell a partner or when they donated blood without disclosing it. So the possibility of criminal liability is on a lot of people's minds, as is civil liability for those people who are irresponsible and don't let people know that they've exposed them and take unnecessary risks and put people deliberately at risk.
So in the case of the White House, where it's alleged that there have been super spreader events there, and you have a number of people who've become sick, the White House has declined the CDC's offer to do contact tracing, and the CDC doesn't have the ability to force themselves into any situation to do contact tracing. And I just wonder, is there anything that is different when it comes to government, and specifically the federal government and employees? What protections do they have if they have to go to the White House and they know that folks there have COVID? You know, what recourse do they have?
Look, I think a lot of us, our hearts go out to the staff at the White House who have no choice, right, who have to keep their jobs and be there and be exposed. It's a terrible situation. The bottom line is that the Department of Health and Human Services is an agency under the control of the president. So the president has the last word on this, and it's really up to him and his administration to decide if they're prepared to do contact tracing. And frankly, it's a shame that we haven't seen a more accelerated effort to take the invitation of the Center for Disease Control, which is also serving at his pleasure, and to move forward on that. And you certainly hope for everybody in the White House that we start to see that and start to see more care being taken to notify people and protect people.
When it comes to the possibility of, I was actually listening to the radio today, and in New York, they're now starting to charge people $15,000 if they're part of a super spreader event. So when cases like that do happen, where people do gather, are there any criminal charges or civil lawsuits that can be placed on people for these kinds of events?
So we have, in most states, you have laws that do allow charging for people for exposing others to communicable events. And there are also charges that can be filed for violating orders. We here in California are living under an emergency order with directives from the state, from Governor Newsom, and from local authorities who also have authority under the State Emergency Act. So you can be charged, certainly, number one, for exposing someone to a communicable disease is a crime. We passed a law a few years ago in California to make it a misdemeanor rather than a felony, because people thought it was being used too harshly and people were getting years in jail. But certainly you can be charged financial penalties and criminally. You can spend time in prison for exposing people and for violating government orders.
All right, Harry Nelson, thanks for being with us. He's the author of 2 best-selling healthcare books, co-managing partner at Nelson Hardiman, a specialty law firm for healthcare providers. For more information, you can check out his website.
Thanks, Harry.